Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and we are back with our next panel discussion on customer onboarding versus customer retention, the harder bit. Let me first introduce you to our moderator, Mr. Himanshu Singh. He's the head Presales India and SAARC Middle East Africa Freshworks. For the panelists, we have Mr. Anand Kumar Bajaj. He is the founder and CEO from Pay Nearby. Mr. Fasih Abbas M, Head of Customer Experience from Niyo Global Cards. Mr. Alakh Naresh Gargiya, co-founder and CEO from Pay1. Mr. Ashith Kampani, Strategic Advisor from Signzy. I would request all the delegates to keep posting their questions in the chat box, and the panel will address selected questions at the end of the session. Over to you, Mr. Singh.
Thank you, Shivani. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this engaging discussion. So, this is a dilemma, right? So, customer onboarding versus customer retention. What do you focus on, and what is your strategy on these aspects, and how can technology help you? So I think obviously pandemic has given us an opportunity to really take advantage of fintech platforms, and the industry has been able to continue the customer onboarding with the use of technology. But at the same time, I think the important discussion today to discuss is about customer retention and how can we make sure that we enhance customer experience and make sure that we give a great platform for users to really stay engaged in. So I think my first question and my first discussion is with Mr. Fasih. Mr. Fasih, I think you've been in this industry for a long time with your experience in phone pay and now at Niyo. So I want to ask you if how do you think that customers churn, or why do customers leave you? Is it for better offers, or do they leave you for something else?
Yeah, I think I'll address that question in two parts. One is, the kind of, cohorts that you see on customers, and, why do they leave, and why do they rather, stick back to your business or a particular product. The first cohort is a cohort of customers who actually, get used to the app or the website experience, and they wouldn't want to leave you. They will, be loyal, and they will have a long-term relationship with you. The second cohort of people are people who would actually want to bag offers, anywhere and everywhere. So they will keep hopping between one product, one app to another app, or one website to another, website, just to bag more and more offers. So that's another cohort, and that's going to continue with them. The third cohort is another segment of people who actually leave you because of one instance of a bad experience, maybe related to support, maybe related to the product, one unhappy flow, and they want to make the app and the people feel that I'm a customer and I want to leave you, right? And these are people who actually hop to another website or app. But eventually, after hopping once or twice from one app to another, they realize that what really is important is the kind of product and the service that you get from a particular player. And these are people who would even want to opt to come back to us. So these are the different cohorts of people. And I think your question is answered by the third cohort as to why they actually leave. One bad experience, with the support team, or one unhappy flow on the app, and that's what triggers them. I think a lot of the businesses have started focusing on how good their product can become, how much of an addiction that they can bring among the customers, how much of a stickiness that they can, keep with the app, and that's more important, with any kind of a business which is to do with, on the app or on the website. So that's my say.
Thank you for your insights, Fasih. Mr. I want to check with you if customer retention policies and the reason customers churn is, your policy and your strategy is it different for a B2C company versus a B2B business?
That's very interesting, and one of the first things when that we also learned in the last few years at Pay1. Because your obvious kind of mind, when you're trying to analyze your user base, you have that self-bias. So you're continuously thinking that, okay, what will I have to do to kind of retain myself? And there were two key things that we ended up realizing when we were doing that journey. The first thing that we realized was that when we are, when you're looking about a direct to consumer business, more often than not, it's purely transactional of sorts. So you're not earning money out of when you're using, say, a Paytm or a Phone Pay. It's more you're getting your job done. So as long as the service is perfect, as long as the transaction flow smoothly, the chances of retention are a lot higher.
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis when you look at businesses like us, where the agent, and it's an agent model, I would say, the agent is earning money by providing those services to the end customer. So it's very important for us when we look at retention, we also have to look at what is the extra value. What are we creating? Are we able to provide the agent a future to look forward to? Or is it just, एक महीने में मैंने इतना काम कर लिया, 1,000 रुपए कमा लिए, 5,000 रुपए कमा लिए, and that's about it? Are we able to create some sort of a future for the agent? And that's where, things like lending kind of kick in. You try and build a more holistic, a more futuristic profile for the agent. And that's one aspect of it. The other aspect, which is kind of, just directly back to the service point, a big difference when you're talking about a direct to consumer business vis-a-vis an agent led business is that you have at times 24 hours, 48 hours to resolve customer queries. You do a transaction on one of these B2C apps, it gets stuck and you get a message, you will get updated within 24 hours, not a problem. And it is completely fine by the user because the user will check the next day to see whether it's done or not. But imagine what happens when the user is actually at an agent counter. Do you think the agent has the luxury to kind of tell the customer 24 ghante? It's not possible. So there we have to run a very fine balance in kind of figuring out, because obviously providing resolution to all kind of such queries within a limited amount of time, say a few minutes, or it's it's a fine balance between how much do you want to focus on service versus how much of a revenue do you want to lose. And that's where kind of things change when you're looking at agent led business like ours compared to a direct to customer business, that the service aspect has a new variable that gets added in, which is time of resolution of the query, and you don't have the luxury to get more than a few minutes to resolve it.
Thank you, Mr. Alakh. So do you think it's a mix of technology and manual, human emotions?
Exactly. And on top of that, there is also a mix of, a business call that needs to be taken to realize that you can't really just assume that everything, no matter how good a product you create, you can't possibly assume that everything will get resolved in a few minutes. Because at the end of the day, when we are talking about banking services, there is a banking ecosystem in play. And, at least I think people in the panel can talk about their banking experience. I can talk about mine. There are times when, queries have been pending with the bank for weeks, if not months. And there have been cases where we have had to take hits just to ensure that the user experience is maintained. Because we are not going to leave the bank because we don't have that many options, but the customer will. And that's where it's not just technology manual, but at times you also have to take business calls to just ensure retention.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Alakh. Mr. Anand, so what is easier, whether retaining a customer is easier or acquiring one?
None. Both of them are not easy. And I would quote someone who said that if you have done the right tech, then customer care is a waste. And so is the sales team. And ops is certainly redundant. So if you get your product fix right and your tech is first time right, of course it is euphoric to say so. But if you are able to refine and come to that level, I think it's a one-way delight. And like Alakh said, it's a dynamo. You have to continue running, spending, and acquire, and then retain. Retain, I would say, is let's abstain from using the word retain. If you are able to service him for what you have brought him here, there is no extra retention required. To my mind, it's a redundant word. But like I said, it's a dynamo effect. And if you have been able to service the customer for what you have acquired. Now, obviously, having said that, there are ground challenges, and coming from banking, and having built Pay Nearby as the world's largest agent banking platform, we do understand that there are APIs for everything and they are available. You are just shy of asking them or not knowing them. But if you are able to fix up things in the right place and ensure that, like we say at Pay Nearby, automate or eliminate. So the reconciliation of entire 5,000 crore a month of 20 million transactions is done by 2 people. You don't need to worry about then those manual work. And then we say stability before scale. So automate or eliminate or stability before scale. So if you are able to do the right pilots and configure the right modules, do right handshakes, scale is just an outcome of how you design the product.
Got it. So build the right product and avoid these challenges.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Anand. Ashish, I want to check with you. Obviously during this pandemic, we've seen new ways of doing KYC, where a lot of players have been doing video KYC. So, what do you think is the future of KYC? Is it only going to be digital? Is it going to be a mix of physical and digital? What are your thoughts on that?
A good question. So every BFSI entity needs to make the transition very smooth, keeping into the mind whatever guidelines issued by their regulator. Keeping that in mind, if they are able to onboard customers seamlessly without friction, the capability of doing a lot of work automated at the back end while onboarding a customer helps in all these organizations to make that transition much faster from the physical process led to digital technology led process and allows most of the customers to seamlessly onboard in various platforms, being fintech, bank, insurance company, asset management, or lenders. The most important part here is that everybody so many years has been doing physical things, giving Xerox copies of things, and all the banks and all the other players have been used to keep on stacking them. That is changing with the help of technology, digital onboarding capability, and the video KYC. The customer's capability to onboard by themselves, do it yourself or with assisted mode with the RMs, is coming in a very big way, and which will transform the way the industry is performing to onboard customers. That's the first side. The second side is that most of the people face technological aspects like bandwidth problem, various type of different instruments, various type of requirements. But as we move forward, people will understand that I need to keep XYZ papers ready. I need to focus myself on getting a digitally onboarded. It gets into their mind. So if somebody has to open an email account, it's so simple for them. From tomorrow, a bank account or any fintech account will become so simple for them by using the digital technology and capable of onboarding into such solutions, so that the whole transition process becomes frictionless and it becomes much happier situation and somebody's onboarding on any of these organizations.
Ashish, do you think government is creating these digital Aadhaar banks and where you can store your ID cards and other things? So in future, do you think there is a way that we can integrate with this kind of a platform and automate the customer onboarding process?
Of course, it is in process, it is in progress. The digital locker, which is coming in where you can store various type of digital document. So I think it starts from that whoever is creating such documents should have a capability of making it digital. So let's take an example of an insurance. Now, e-insurance policies are coming in. So the when you buy an insurance, you have an option to create an e-insurance, and straight away it comes into your digital locker account. Same will apply to your FDs. Same will apply to your various other instruments like PAN, driving license. So once you have that digital locker capability, you can expose it, and then that whole process becomes so smooth, seamless for people to onboard.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Ashish. Coming back to you, Fasih, I want to check with you, how do automation help in customer experience, and what kind of technology have you experimented with during COVID or pre-COVID, which has helped you to ramp up customer experience?
Yeah, in fact, a very nice question, Himanshu. Let me put it across this way that, customers generally look at three things when they reach out to the support team, right? They first of all look at speed of response. Secondly, they look at speed of resolution. And the third is their quality of interaction with the support team, right? And how automations and bots help. Let me give you an example. Let's say that the support team has a capacity of about 20 customers that they can concurrently face, and there are 200 customers who've come to you, right? And it is in a FIFO logic where customers have to wait in a queue to actually get responded. Imagine the 200th customer, by what time would he get the first response even, right? And there are chat environments and all of that which can actually speed up the first response, but automation is just instant. Your speed of response, the first response given is just instant. Even if it is not just 200, but even if it is 2000 customers, the bot or the automations can give us a response instantly, right? That's one thing. The second thing is on the resolution side. Now, what we have realized is resolution, why do you need, a human to actually speak to a customer and talk about his transaction and say, hey, Mr. Customer, we do understand your transaction, has got failed or it's gone into a pending state and it's going to take 3 to 5 working days or whatever the time that we set. Why do we need a human being to actually respond to that? We can have an automation or a bot which can actually respond to these customers and give the same information out. In some situations, when we have the information actually available at our backend already, and imagine, the agent who's sitting and taking that particular customer case is going back and referring to the system, finding out that information, giving a reference number and asking the customer, hey, Mr. Customer, it's a successful transaction and this is the UTR number. You have to go to your beneficiary bank and, you have to speak about this transaction. I'm just giving you an example. Why does it require a human again over there? That is a response that a bot can give. A bot can actually go at the back end, check this information, come back and instantly give a resolution to the customer and close the case. So you see the kind of tremendous speed that the response system gets, and the kind of speed that a resolution system also comes in when you talk about automations and bot. Now let's talk about the quality of interaction. Believe me, in one of the startups that we were working on automations and bots, we initially saw a 20% difference in the CSAT, 20% lesser than human beings. And what we did is we continued to actually work on the bot and what we call it as training the bot, right? Constantly keep training the bot time and again and see, where exactly the bot is actually failing, is not able to connect with the customer, not able to understand the customer's query, or not able to give the right kind of a resolution. And after we started training the bot on the same or similar queries, what earlier the agents used to handle manually versus what the bot started handling, we were able to do a plus 5-7% more than what the agents were doing. And that too in a period of about a quarter's time. Right. And imagine that is the path that a lot of the organizations in the way forward will start looking at. Right. And I've also started discussing with a lot of the organizations where they have started thinking of emotional quotient that the bot can bring in. The bot can actually understand the emotions of the customers and respond using the right kind of phrases and words. And believe me, that is going to be more superior that the customers will start facing in the way forward. When these three things are taken care of, your speed of response, your speed of resolution, and there's a fantastic quality of interaction that is happening with the bot and automation, then people will not really care whether they are actually speaking to the agent or not. Now let's talk about the pandemic or pre-pandemic or post-pandemic situation. Yes, I think pandemic has also brought a lot of learning for many companies. They really wanted to cut corners and reduce on the cost.
Mhm.
And how would they
Yeah.
reduce the cost? One is reduce the size of the teams and ensure that the same is taken care through automations or bot. Right? I think a lot of the organizations have already started looking in that direction. right? And in the way forward, what you would see is that this is where people will really invest. A lot of business houses will really invest, and they will look at how much more they can bank on the automations, bank on the bot capabilities, and what else can they do without getting agents to actually respond, right? That's my say. Yeah.
Yeah, Fasih, so what do you think about the adoption of technology and bots? Has it been easy for your customers to adopt to such technologies, or did you do some marketing or some learning around these in your app or on your platform?
Right. I think, so adoption initially will be low, Himanshu, in any
Mhm.
kind of a business where you're just introducing the bot and the customer is very used to actually speaking to agents or chatting up with the agents and having a one-on-one conversation. There will be a difference, right? But over a period of time, it is a business decision. How would you want to position your bot? Do you want to make it, somewhere in the funnel where the customers will actually have to pass through the bot and then come to you, come to an agent? That's a decision that a business house will take, and most business houses are heading in that direction. They will create a kind of a funnel where the customers will actually hit the bot first, get the responses there. If they're not satisfied, then a ticket gets created on the agent side, and the agent interacts and closes that ticket, right? I think that is how it is going to be. And in terms of a customer user behavior, right? I mean, the customers will also understand that it's easier to actually speak to bots, or get their resolutions through automations, and it's much faster when compared to actually dialing a number, using the right IVR options, trying to get onto an agent to actually talk to. Now people have started realizing that just go on the self-serve, click on the order. If it is an e-commerce thing, just mention what your problem is, and you get an instant response, right? And that is where the world is actually moving towards. And it is going to continue to happen where people will slowly realize that it is easier for them to actually get automated responses, self-help, self-serve, and rather than actually reaching out to agents.
I think NLP is also playing a very large
Yes.
part here, where it's now supporting Indian languages, and people can ask questions in Hindi or any
Yeah.
other regional languages. Great. Thank you
Yes.
for the insights, Fasih. It was great.
Welcome.
Mr. Alakh, so I want to check digital onboarding journeys for tier one versus tier three. How do they differ, and what has been your experience in the same?
Again, I think brilliant question, Himanshu. And just carrying on from what Fasih was just talking about. Uh, at the end of the day, the biggest challenge when you start moving from a customer business to an agent business, and similarly moving from a tier one user segment to tier three, the biggest challenge we figured out was created similar digital onboarding solutions that were there on pretty much all these tier one focusing businesses, but we saw a lot of issues. And after kind of going through a lot of users and doing a lot of surveys, after a few months, in one line the answer was tier 3 does not read the error message. So so it just, something as simple as you want to automate PAN card checks. You have brilliant OCR APIs to kind of go through the PAN card, pick out the usernames, do a face match, do a liveness check to ensure whether the PAN card is original or not, or whether it's a photocopy. Now your system has done all of that, and it has rejected the user's document. And it is actually telling the user that भैया आपने photocopy लगा दिया है, photocopy नहीं original PAN card का photo लेना है.
Mhm.
And it is clearly there, but the person doesn't read. It's not that they don't know how to, it's just the behavior. They,
Mhm.
even after going, and that's where, for us, the onboarding challenge becomes a completely different ballgame, because now it's not just about having a great OCR API or a great onboarding API or an overall ecosystem. It also has to then be followed by creating a mix of, audio, video, and kind of visuals to communicate the same message as to why you are getting a problem. Why has your PAN card not been matched, or what is the problem with your Aadhaar card, or what is the problem for your driving license? The image is blurred, or the image is a photocopy. You need to show originals, all of that, because at the end of the day, you want it won't be digital onboarding if you have to kind of, after that you have to get someone to call the user and then tell them acha sir aapne ye barabar nahi kiya hai. Then the entire agenda of that seamless experience just goes out of the window. So that's been the main thing, and that's honestly speaking the core thing that we've realized and we're also working on, that the digital onboarding solution, when you move from a tier 1 user set to tier 3, which you call kind of the Bharat audience,
Yeah.
it can only work when you start moving on just from the product onboarding APIs itself to the actual experience where you are deploying a mix of audio and visual cues, so that the user doesn't have to kind of go through a verbose 3-4 line or a 2 line statement to understand what went wrong.
So, what do you think? What kind of technology did you explore? Did you explore text to speech, or automated IVR calling, or WhatsApp messages? What do you think worked for you?
So honestly speaking, what is working for us is direct kind of text to speech plus a combination of visual. So visual actually helps a lot. So if that same error message you are able to communicate it through a very well made visual, that helps a lot. So if you're, and for some things it was actually quite easy. So for example, the PAN card example I was taking, if you can immediately, instead of an error, show the user a visual where you have a photo of a Xerox and a photo of an original PAN card, and just put a cross on the Xerox and a tick on the original, something as simple as this, replacing the text message with a visual as simple as this, helps a lot. Because now the user immediately knows that अच्छा यार मैंने photocopy लगा दिया था, photocopy पे तो red cross है, original पे green है, so I need to show a picture of original. So it has to be a mix. It can't be audio alone, it can't be visual alone, because not all things will have a clear visual message like this. So for us, we typically use kind of a text to speech plus visuals. IVR or WhatsApp message again becomes an additional problem, because then you are diverting the user away from the app at that point of time. So it's not a seamless experience the way we define it.
All right. Alakh, did you struggle with technology here, or do you think the technology is available?
Massively. Because, when you are looking at OCR, for example, and just if you're looking at driving license in this country, every state issues a different driving
format.
license.
Yes.
So standardization in this country is just completely out of the window. And
Correct.
even if you look at, just if I talk about Rajasthan, I had a different license when it got issued, and now I have a different license, different format when I have renewed it. So even if I am using from the same state, there are different formats of that driving license. So it's a nightmare to kind of build, OCR APIs when the underlying document is not standardized, and it's sort of work in progress. I think there is some effort of standardization as far as governments are concerned, state governments or state bodies are concerned, and then there is some bit of AI, machine learning kind of evolving and systems kind of improving. So far, now we are at a stage where we can say that we're happy with the system we've built, but it's been a very long journey to get here.
So for the audience, if anybody is looking to address a challenge, Alakh is the guy to reach out to.
Happy to advise and connect. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Anand, just some straightforward questions. What is your approach towards customer delight? How do you ensure customer delight?
So two things sell, greed and need. Greed is the cashback, and I would say need /
Offers.
Offers. Yeah. So that has done its round, and you are already seeing the depleting marginal utility. But that's a digital savvy greedy segment, DSG. No loyalty. In contrast to this digitized segment, there is marginalized and subsidized segment. 90% of India, that's where we play. That's where we serve. Now, you look at, in contrast, the delights will be very different if you would look at for the customer who does not tweet. Right? For a user of UPI, he would tweet and attack the finance minister, get the money back in 2 hours or 20 minutes. Our customers don't tweet; they talk to the Almighty direct line hotline. So you have to be extra careful because see, this customer whose 700 rupees monthly ration, it's probably your cab fare for the dinner tonight. Yeah, the segment is altogether different. The free things that you are used to, he is willing to pay. And I can bet if UPI were to charge a fee, it would be one of the most profitable products for the providers because this segment is willing to pay. Unlike you would have never been charged for depositing money in your bank account, this segment pays a percentage to deposit money or remit money to their family. You would say, what is that actually? What is interesting is that this segment is getting exposed to a differentiated technology, a leapfrogging, if I may say. The India, which did not buy TV, got onto mobile directly, did not buy a landline, got onto a telephony on a mobile directly. From 7 years ago, when we launched our service, and when we on a Saturday or on a Sunday did IMPS, this customer segment was used to a NEFT transaction, which would go only on Monday, not on Saturday, Sunday. So when a IMPS based remittance service was launched, from that disbelief कि boss Saturday, Sunday भी पैसा जाता है, to non-tolerance today, the transition has happened in India, right? From a totally surprise to now a non-tolerance. He would go on a Sunday at 12 and tell a retailer, "Paisa bhej account mein, I want to send urgent money," and the money would go. So looking at this segment, they don't believe in your supply side problem. They would say, "You sort it out. Main paisa de raha hu sab. I am willing to pay. Please serve me." So what is delight for him is no failure, automation, lowest possible fee so that he does not need to think twice, and most important, you sort your supply side. He's opaque to all this. He is looking at a kirana store where a pay nearby is giving him a service, and he's totally opaque to what is at my back end. All that is science. I have to simplify, and it should be as simple as giving currency and no manual required for it. That's the customer delight that we strive towards.
Great, thank you, Mr. Anand. Mr. Ashith, so I think currently in customer onboarding, there are some challenges due to regulation, right? So what do you think RBI or regulatory authorities can do more to help smoothen out this process so that one, obviously customers onboard quickly and without any hassle? And do you think this, if we enhance this experience, we will have better customer retention and obviously easier customer onboarding?
So I think the regulator has applied their mind because they want to transit from physical to digital mode. The people have to have face-to-face discussion, which they are used to. So that is why there is a RE, which is the entities who's having a representative who will be on the other side when you do a video KYC and asking to show some proof and some photographs and some identity while talking to them. So it becomes an experience. Though certain part of the regulatory, like asset management, they have done it on a self mode. So it's a transition. Once the capabilities are built, the processes are in place, and various organizations who in BFSI have started using effectively, because the insurance is currently using at the lowest, whereas the banking is using at the highest. The lenders are using at the highest, and the fintechs are using at the most, because ultimately they have automated various processes and they want the minimum friction and maximum capability to onboard customers. So going from that end to this end, everybody has to come into the picture to make a little more comfort to the regulator's mind that the processes are working well. It has been time tested for a couple of months to couple of years, and then we can start making some tweaking that how the process can be further enhanced and becomes more and more self-onboarding or do-it-yourself basis, a less assisted basis. So that could be a probable progression. It will all will depend on how the entire environment is getting ready, because if on the one side the digital DG locker which comes in, the other side various capabilities of requirements of various banks become standardized. and various authorities also issue standardized way of issuing like PAN card or Alakh said about the driving license. So then it becomes much easier to onboard. So I think that would be most important for us to look at the onboarding journey. The second question you asked about retention, I think the onboarding and retention are two total separate babies. Because even if you onboard a very smoothly onto any company, any product, but if the services are not great or the person does not want to use the way he is expected to use, then naturally there'll be churn. So retention and the onboarding cannot be totally linked. But yes, if the onboarding process is smooth, then the person wants to explore various services, he likes it, he remains there. So
Yeah,
that would be my submission.
Thank you, gentlemen. That was from my side. We have some questions from the audience. I'll quickly read it out and maybe if one of you want to pick it up. So the first question is, how different are the cost, effort, requirements for onboarding a banked customer versus an unbanked customer? In bracket, cost of customer education, etc. Maybe I think around customer onboarding, what is the cost requirements and differences between a banked customer versus a unbanked customer?
So if it's not pointed to anyone, I could add here that.
No, but it was pointed to you, Anand, because you are the 90% coverage to all the people in this country.
No, so thank you for that, Ashith. And I will tell you at the back of modules like Signzy, certainly that helps ease the onboarding. But there is very less banked customer. They are all misbanked customers.
Yes,
because
you're
all
right.
in the name of banking they do is cash in and cash out, and the 150 million citizens that we serve at Pay Nearby are all misbanked to our dismay. And onboarding them is easiest now today with Pratyaksham Pramanam. You are you who you are, you say you are, right now, right here in front of me. It's sacrosanct, right? Sovereign grade KYC and onboarding. Cheapest, right? 25 paisa if is what the cost of Aadhaar auth is. That's about it. I don't need 200 documents or 2 vetting signs from him. But now, as you graduate, can data help me to onboard him to the next product and next product and next product without additional documentation is the way forward. But cost-wise, if you go to open a bank account today, a relationship manager waiting at the door still for your call to get over would get a waiting sign, and he would have come all the way from Chembur. All you know, for a wealthy client like Ashith, I would say. But if you were to look at poorer clients like us who walk into the bank branch, who don't anymore, still there is a cost of the infrastructure that bank has. And yeah, so the unbanked is easier and cheaper, I would say, to that extent.
Thank you, Mr. Anand. One question about rural India is also in rural India, when it comes to customer onboarding, making people aware is the biggest challenge, or challenging their attitude in terms of trust and adoption. So basically, the question is, in rural India, is it tough to onboard a customer, and is it a bigger challenge in educating them and building trust and adoption for rural customer?
He has a trusted retailer, actually. On the contrary, sorry, Alakh, you complete it. I'll come back to it.
No, so I was just saying that, I agree to that statement, and which is why, at least, from our perspective, when it comes to kind of rural India, retention is something that we value a lot more than onboarding per se, because onboarding is a lot less about the entire experience and a lot more about the education and awareness as far as we're concerned. And, the point around a trusted retailer is very well taken. So I think, Anand, if you want to continue with that point.
Yeah, good. Actually, and it certainly is a matter of whom do you onboard. The comfort, confidence with a kirana shop, a pharmacist is tremendous in the areas where you and I don't go now. But important is to see that if in the introduction at grocer, you can say 2 kilo aloo, 1 kilo pyaj, or 25 rupiya ka FD de dena bhaiya. You don't have an extra need of a trust. You are going to that grocer since your childhood, and you know he's here to serve you. So I think how you onboard, what kind of retailer partners you onboard, will define the trust and the challenge of communication.
I just wanted to
Right.
add something here.
Yes,
Both
sure.
have taken a very good point of contact to whom you trust and onboard. But I would come on the process that if you have the process also equally good in place, even self onboarding in the rural India, it gives you while you're onboarding the question in your local language that keep 1, 2, 3, 4 ready, keep your focus here, press this and start your process. That itself is a big start because if somebody is talking into your own regional language, you are much comfortable in doing stuff and also the bandwidth issue. So rural India may have a bandwidth issue. If somebody is doing it either online or with assisted, they should have a good bandwidth as well to make sure that whole process is complete.
Absolutely.
Great.
Agreed to that.
Thank you, gentlemen. I think that's all we have time for today. Thanks, Ashith, Anand, Fasih, Alakh. Back to you, Shivani.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks
you.
a lot.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Cheers. Take care.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Singh.
you.
Thank you to all our speakers for making this discussion so engaging. Special thanks to our audience and our sponsor, our silver partner Zeta Paytm, a knowledge partner PwC, design partner Ethinos. Please stay tuned for other exciting discussions. Thank you very much. We are signing off.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
It was a great discussion. Thank you.
Excellent discussion.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
Fasih, thank you.